This video is sponsored by FreeCash. More about them in just a moment. Several years ago, I made a video explaining the most grotesque fanfictions of all time. There is a very obvious reason why I've waited 4 years to make another video on fanfiction, and that's because the ones I read traumatized me. But all these years on, I finally mustered up enough courage to dive back into the depraved world of fanfic. This time though, we're going to keep things a little bit closer to home, and I'm going to be discussing fanfic concerning online creators. And just to tease you guys a little bit with some of what we have to come, one of these fanfics might have caused a friendship to end, and another one was reported on by the creator it was about, but then the creator mysteriously took down the video. Now, I just want to clarify this right now because I know that if I don't, I'm going to get some comments calling me a prude. I don't mind spicy fanfics. As long as you're not hurting anybody, then I say, let it be, fair play. These stories though, for reasons that we'll get into, were potentially over the line. So with that said, let's begin with one of the most popular recipients of fanfictions, Markiplier. If you're not familiar with this, Markiplier is someone that over the years has had a tremendous amount of fanfictions made in his name. I mean, quite literally. There are 23,000 results if you look him up on Wattpad, and another 7,500 with Darkiplier, his dark alter ego. However, if you've gone down the Markiplier fanfiction rabbit hole as I have this past week, then you might recognize another content creator who is also often present in these stories. And that is Jacksepticeye. Some of these stories have tens of thousands of reads, and during their peak of popularity in the mid to late 2010s, almost exclusively included Jack and Mark developing feelings for each other before turning into outright smut. Just checking AO3, which is another very popular fanfiction website, some of these stories written about the two of them, Septiplier as their ship name was, have upwards of 50,000 hits. And many of them contain kinks and freaky terms that are so crazy, I'm going to have to censor the vast majority of this. But I hope you can see that this has like 50 tags, most of which are extremely spicy terms. I decided to investigate their most popular fanfic on AO3. And that, my good friends, was a mistake. This was one of the horniest things I have ever read. The majority of this fanfic seems to be a foursome between Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, Darkiplier, and Antisepticeye, and it's just the four of them going to town on each other, banging crazy hard, doing absolutely unspeakable, demonetizable things to each other and their various body parts. And I know there might be some people in the comments that will defend this because it's not hurting anybody, and maybe in isolation it wouldn't, but when you take Jack and Mark and really look into them, these stories might have had more of an impact than people first realized. To get a bit more analytical for a moment, I remember a couple of years back seeing Jacksepticeye talk about their ship, and discussing how he felt as though eventually people took things a bit too far. Based on the sheer amount of Jack and Mark fanfics that I was able to find, some of which had the most insane subject matter, I can see why one might think that. Like, I think I could maybe give a pass to the Darkiplier and Antisepticeye stuff, because those are characters, even though they're alter egos, so it does kind of cross a line, but in most of the stories, it's just these two guys going ham on each other. And based on the sheer scale of it, it might have eventually gotten too much, with Jack coming out to say this.
And then even when me and Mark had said, like, please don't do that. We're like, we don't mind Septiplier, but please don't draw us like fucking each other. Then people went ahead anyway and they're like, oh, but it's so cute, look! Like, that was directly going against what we had said. Like, even from the start, we had made it perfectly clear that that was not a case. In regards to shipping anything, when it became like super vulgar and super gratuitous, that it was kind of like, okay, now you're kind of crossing the line. And then people started role-playing and writing all these fan fictions about it that kind of seemed to go against anything that we had thought about or had said.
And following this, there was a lot of speculation on the internet that the two were no longer as close because of all the attention the ship had received. And there was a lot of speculation on this because as of about a year or so ago, Jack apparently unfollowed Mark on Twitter, and it made people think that the two were no longer as close. They then thought that it might have been because of the shipping. At first, the two didn't really seem to mind, but then they seemed to have more of a problem with it as it went on, getting more and more personal. Because they didn't shut it down right away, it eventually became very, very acceptable to write outrageously sexual and kind of perverted things about these two, despite them only being friends. Of course, the two of them drifting apart seemed to only happen after the shipping had already cooled down, so maybe this wasn't the main factor. Either way, it probably didn't help. It could definitely be for other reasons. But still, it's not hard to see why someone might be a bit uncomfortable with the internet interpreting their relationship this way. These guys were doing it purely for the love of the game, completely for free. But sometimes in life, it's quite nice to make a little bit of moolah on the side, and that's where Free Cash comes in, today's video sponsor. So Free Cash is an online platform where users can earn money by playing mobile games, filling out surveys, and completing small and easy tasks. Trusted by thousands, Free Cash has a 4.8 star on Trustpilot, so its user base knows that it's reliable. I had the chance to play through a few of its games, and this is the sort of thing where if you're on the bus bored or you're doom scrolling late at night, you can be earning a little bit of money instead. Like, I played a game called Crowd Express where you have to get different colours on their assigned buses, and I chose that one because I kind of find this sort of thing to be quite satisfying, and of course I saw that the game was offering upwards of $300, which is nothing to scoff at, especially in this economy. Next thing I knew, I was storming through the game onto level 25. So if you're interested in checking it out, I'll have a link to it down in the description, or you can simply scan the QR code on the screen now. And better yet, anyone that signs up using my codes or links will receive a free $5 sign-up bonus. So once more, click the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen now for a free $5 sign-up bonus. Thank you to Free Cash for being today's video sponsor. With that said, let's move on to the second controversial fanfic of the video, concerning a content creator who in recent years has been extremely controversial herself. It's Sssniperwolf. So the interesting thing about Sssniperwolf's fanfiction comes in two parts. The first of which is the fanfic itself. Sssniperwolf reacted to one particular fanfic that I want to discuss within her video, "A fan wrote a dirty story about me." The story isn't too long, so pause the video right now if you want to read it. A quick synopsis of the story though is that while she was playing Overwatch, a fan messages her and asks her to meet up. She, for some reason which is never explained, agrees and meets up with him. The two, for no explained reason, fall instantly in love, despite her initially thinking that more people would be there, which is never explained why she thought that, and then it's just a bunch of smut. And I guess the ending implies some sort of plot twist where Sssniperwolf has been under mind control the entire time, which I guess would explain some of the insane logic present in this. But regardless, this therefore straight up implies grape, because someone who is under mind control surely cannot consent. And upon realizing this, upon reading it, Sssniperwolf had a very confused reaction.
What? 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 What the f did I just read? Seriously? What did I just read? Green Phantom. What did I just read? Why would you write this? Why?
This is, I kid you not, one of the worst fanfictions that I have ever read, and the mind control plot twist is the least of its concerns. This thing has some serious structural and grammatical issues. In parts, it doesn't make a lick of sense. This was either written by an 8-year-old or written by someone with the IQ of a perverted 8-year-old, because there are some serious grammatical and spelling errors in this. Half of the plot elements, like the mind control, came out of absolutely nowhere, and I know that it might be a bit of a nothing burger for me to be critically analysing a 200-word fanfic that was probably written by a horny 10-year-old, but I'm just concerned for whoever wrote this. Sssniperwolf's name, Leah, is written out 25 times in just over 200 words. The word she isn't used once, and some of it I don't even understand. Take the final sentence. Leah comes and rams off after picking her loos up. What does that even mean? That all said though, the second interesting thing I find about this is that if you were to try and look up the video where Sssniperwolf is talking about this fanfiction, it's no longer on her channel. she took the video down at some point. The only way that I have access to it is that I had the link and was able to put it through the Wayback Machine, but given the subject matter, I feel like it's understandable because this is straight up horrendously written smut. And because she probably didn't want to encourage more people writing these sorts of fanfics. I feel like if you're a female creator of a certain size, aka past like 1,000 subscribers, creeps are par for the course. And personally, I'm not someone that deals with creeps too much, but I feel like if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile for these sorts of things. To the best of my knowledge, she never made a statement about why this video was taken down. So the question remains, why was it deleted? Maybe it was too raunchy for her, maybe there was a brand deal that didn't like her more extreme content, so she deleted this. Sniperwolf's content these days is much tamer. Maybe she had more weirdos write fanfics and it just kind of creeped her out. The truth is, I don't know, but for somebody who has so many videos still up, it is kind of strange. Very quickly though, before we move on to our next story, I'd just like to say that if you're enjoying this video right now and you haven't already, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It's the quickest and easiest way to say thank you or to show me that you're enjoying my content, and it makes videos like this more likely in the future. I'm not planning to go down the depraved YouTuber rabbit hole again anytime soon, but if enough people like, enough people subscribe, enough people let me know down in the comment section that they want to see it, then hell yes, for you guys, I will ruin my mental sanity, and we'll do it. So yeah, like, subscribe, and get active down in the comment section below if you want to see more of this kind of thing. So with that said, let's move on to the next set of crazy fanfics, and this one is by far the worst that we've had yet. These are the old fanfics of TommyInnit. Now, I couldn't make this video in good conscience without mentioning at least one Minecrafter, or in this case, one former member of the Dream SMP, because for whatever reason, these guys had a stranglehold on Wattpad back in the early 2020s. For this video though, I want to focus on fanfics concerning TommyInnit, because his fanfictions were extremely controversial given that, well, he was a child. I'm not going to name names or read any particular fanfics out about Tommy like we did with Sniperwolf or like we'll be doing with the next people we'll discuss, because A, I don't even know if I could find any these days, a lot of them have been taken down, and B, given the context, I don't think it's appropriate. He's 21 today, and let me just say that he's had fanfictions made about him for several years now. I remember this being a concerning problem at the time, but back when he was perhaps in his peak of popularity, which in terms of metrics would have been a few years ago now, people were kind of weird towards him. On stream, discussing the uncomfortable rise of his NSFW fanfics, Tommy would say this.
I speak for me and Turbo and everything, all this, I've not been on Twitter very much over the past week, and it has been great. But boys, any of this not safe for work, like sex-related fanfic, whatever that is on the Wattpad or on Twitter, I am not comfortable with that, and I do not endorse it. I just thought I'd have to say. I thought it would have been obvious because I'm a child, but I thought I'd just let you all know, because I haven't ever formally said.
Most people in the community would rally behind Tommy, because if you had any take on this which wasn't agreeing with him, people would look at you very sussly. And that appeared to be the worst of it, because the message from Tommy was clear, loud, and simple. He wasn't comfortable with people writing these strange erotic fanfictions about him, considering that he at the time was about 16 years old, and a lot of the other people featured in these fanfictions were adults. Now, it's likely that the majority of the people that were writing these were teenagers. At the end of the day, Tommy does have a bit of a younger audience, but that doesn't negate the fact that he felt uncomfortable with these being written. And considering that they were about him, he had every right to be. Once more, this was a bit too parasocial for the creator involved. The thing is, because content creators and live streamers have such easy access compared to traditional celebrities, it's much easier to build this bond, this relationship with them. If you're watching a live stream, you could be spending the entire afternoon with your favorite creator. But then because you feel like you know them, you start projecting your wants, desires, and fantasies onto them, writing stories about them having erotic relationships with their friends whilst they're a teenager. And this is just not appreciated whatsoever. And in one more case where fanfic writers might forget that they're writing about real people, I shudder when I say this, we have Sturniolo. Now, during my research, I saw all sorts. I came across weird Sniperwolf mind control fanfics, I found Markiplier woofing fanfics, but none of them disturbed me more than the fanfictions I'll be discussing next. Meet Nicholas, Matthew, and Christopher. These three 22-year-olds have a YouTube channel together with more than 7.6 million subscribers. I would say that these guys are fairly attractive, so with a large fan base, I can see why they have people writing fanfiction about them. But there's just one teeny tiny problem. And if you're an attentive person, you might have already figured it out. These three are triplets. And you can see where this is going. After seeing a video where they reacted to their fanfictions, where they even detailed in the title that they were uncomfortable, I set out to see if the stories were really that bad. That was my first mistake. Actually, scrap that. The first mistake was me thinking to make this video in the first place. Looking up the triplets fanfics was mistake number like 30 or 40. 1,800 results on this. What have you freaks been doing? These guys were brothers, man! Not even that, they're triplets! They shared a womb, and now you guys are making them share each other's buttholes! And it's not even like a gay thing or anything. Just want to make that very clear right now, it's not a gay thing. I don't even know if I can read any of this without getting this video sent to the Shadow Realm. But I'm going to try, because if I suffered, you guys have to suffer with me. The story I found was titled Get on Your Knees. And this is one of the most recent ones, by the way. It's not like I searched for hours to find it. This was like on page number 1. Like, what even is this? Chris liked it rough like this. Pissed and fucking his F-slur brother's throat, punishing him like little brats deserve. He could feel his rising. And let me say that the entire thing is like that. The F-slur is said 6 times in the first chapter alone. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Like, that's a slur, but the stuff in there is grotesque, man. As I said earlier, I'm sure some people in the comments are gonna be like,
actually, this is tame AF. You should look up some real spicy fanfics.
But stories about triplets dancing the devil's cha-cha, maybe it's just me, but I think it's weird that these stories are being made every day. And these stories definitely belong in a video about content creators' worst fanfics. Okay, that's all I mentally have in the tank for today. But if you're not mentally checked out, then you should definitely watch my video about when your gooning gets leaked. In that video, we cover creators such as iShowSpeed, Vorsh, and Sketch that accidentally had their porn or sex history get exposed. It is, as it sounds, one of the wildest videos I've ever made, so click on the screen right now to give it a watch. And aside from that, I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.